This is D-Boy from West Coast Uncensored. How's everybody doing out there on this very SoCal rainy last week, man? It really has been a rainy week, if I must say so. And definitely with all the things popping off, our sports, man, has been limited. I talked to somebody the other day um, at this collectible store, actually yesterday, and he says when he goes home, he doesn't know what to do because there isn't no sports for him to consume. So for the sports minded and the sports people who use that for their entertainment, no, you don't. There is none. But this is D-Boy from West Coast Uncensored. And you know what we do at West Coast Uncensored? We try to build collaboration. West Coast Uncensored it does bring you the best, just not of the West Coast, but also Major League Baseball, NFL, National Football League, NBA, and the best of professional wrestling. And we do that. We got some tight videos, some good stuff, but we're looking to build a collaboration, not to create division and enemies. And when I say that, what I'll do if you got a business out there and you want to promote your business, you hit me up on westcoastuncensored.com, which is my website, westcoastuncensored.com. You can see I got the Derek Carr jersey up. I don't know how much longer he's going to be a Raider, but if you hit westcoastuncensored.com, guess what you can do for as little as $10 a month? You join, you become part in, and I'll promote your business on my website. Not only will I do that, this is also what will happen is on my podcast, I will do whatever you want. You get on there, you hit me up and send me an email on my website. We'll connect, we'll collaborate. You want me to do commercial? You got something to send me to wear, to post, anything that you want to do, I'll do. I'll even do your commercial for your business, promoting it on my podcast. So I definitely want to build collaboration, and those who are doing business, you know why I'm doing this the business way. And I kind of thought of this, and a really good friend of mine in Washington really brought this to me, TW, um, and I thought about this that it would be very important because anybody that is walking in doing their own business and doing their own thing, and what I mean by that is if you're doing your own business, doing your own thing, guess what? That tells me you're looking at entrepreneur. You're trying to create for your own. And that's kind of the thing that's going, that people are waking up to, not just going and doing an 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 and doing those type of things and working and maybe not being fully doing their passion and not being fully gratified, but just paying the bills. But man, this isn't really what they wanted to do. They might be they might be working, be a school teacher, but if you really got down and really listened to them, they would tell you, my passion was to be a songwriter. My passion was to do art, or my passion was to go do something else far different than what I'm doing. And I think people are waking up to, it's about doing your passion and what makes you happy. There's an old saying that said if somebody was happy with doing something every day of their life, it really wouldn't be called a job. It wouldn't be a job to them. It would be their passion. So that's why anybody that's doing your own business in any kind of way, hit me up, westcoastuncensored.com. Connect with me. I'll connect with you, and guess what we'll do? We'll definitely promote your business on here, and we'll find out ways to do it. Website for one. On my podcast, your business will be mentioned too. So, all right, all right, all right. I wanted just to kind of say that, and I wanted to say this: since we don't have no sports, there ain't daily news to report. I just dropped the CBA for the NFL was signed, and that's about going. Everything's the coronavirus, and everything's that. I don't want to get deep into that at this point. Um, whether what we think about it, what our knowledge of it, if whatever that is, I don't really want to get into that. I want to get into something that is still. Let me take a drink. I'll promote this. This isn't the bottle, but I drink Kangen water, which is ionized water from the number one ionizer in the world, which is Kangen, or Enagic is the company, which changes its water from changes the structure of the water from your faucet through this ionizer into drinking water that comes from Japan. This has been around 40 something years in Japan. It isn't new. It's barely touched California. It's barely touched the United States. It's big in LA and some other places, but still, even when we say it's big and it's growing, it really hasn't. It's a great business opportunity, but also it's one of the top healthiest. It is the healthiest water you can drink. No, any other water ionizer out there is playing for second place. They're not playing for the #1 seed, so they get a bye in the playoffs because they ain't close. And they even know in the playoffs they're going to get their butt busted in the championship game because he ain't in it. He ain't in it to win it. And that's what Enagic is. So anybody hit me up on my website about that, because this is a great opportunity to drink healthy water. I'm not while everybody's out can't find bottled water. I don't need it. I haven't drank bottled water in over 2 years. I understand what bottled water is. I understand it's nothing but glorified tap water with a name on it. That's the truth. And this is changing your water structure, not like any bottled water you would get that calls itself alkaline water. Don't let me get in that hoax either, because it's not, because those bottled waters are chemically changed. This is structurally changed by electricity, and changes it by electricity. No chemicals added. It changes it, and it absorbs 85 times more percent than any bottled water can bring. It's called Enagic Kangen water. So that's my little spiel. That's something I drink, and that's something I have at my every day. I don't buy bottled water, so that's the end of this commercial. But let me take a drink of this great water. So what are we going to do? We don't have no NFL. We definitely don't have no NBA. I mean, we would be approaching the we probably miss 7 to 8 NBA games per team, because they play average every other day. There's no preseason baseball, no summer, no spring training, so we don't have nothing. But there is something that's trying to we're going to get in, because what we do is we also have to give you the best of professional wrestling, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to get in the best of professional wrestling. On Monday, I usually do rumors, my little rumors, and news. We're going to do it today, since there isn't as much going on. But there is a little bit of news and rumors that are carrying over from week to week. And we're going to talk about how coronavirus is now and is connected to the professional wrestling. And I'm going to have a little bit, we're going to talk about Dynamite from last Wednesday. We're going to have a little review on the Dynamite from last Wednesday. But first of all, I'm going to talk a little news and review. The news and review is that we seen Wednesday night, we seen the debut of Lance Archer. As we know, before we had seen Jake Roberts said he was bringing somebody in, he was bringing a client. Well, when Cody came to the ring to wrestle to open up Dynamite last week, Lance Archer, along with Jake the Snake Roberts, came and had a ringside seat to watch Cody's match. And that's what they did. Lance Archer really didn't do much after that. But so Lance Archer has been revealed, and he is not the exalted one from the Dark Order. So that leaves us two. So the rumors that is swirling around is that could it be Matt Hardy? It possibly could. Is it too logical that it could be Matt Hardy? Sometimes I think so, but then some of the others I see that it could be, to me, just don't seem like a good fit. Could it be Lance Archer? It could be. Could it be Jeff Hardy? I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. Here's the news and rumors. If you were watching earlier, you heard it. It said this Wednesday, hear me, will be the revealing of the Exalted One. This next week, the 18th, will be the revealing of the Exalted One. Who is it? Is it Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper? Is it Christopher Daniels pulling the biggest charade? Is it? Or is it Matt Hardy? But will be revealed. Has he made up his mind? Is he being revealed as the Exalted One? We will see. Another one that I don't think he is, but just keep this online. There was a rumor out about 6 to 8 weeks ago that in his contract is ended. Gotta even think of his name. Gosh darn. Brian Cage was put out by a very reliable news source that later his wife said was not true, that she lived with him, that he had not signed with AEW. But this resource is SoCal Uncensored, and I'm not talking about the Wrestler SCU, even though their name goes head in hand with them, because this has been a wrestling organization for the last 20 years that brings wrestling news and brings the best of the indies to SoCal. And when they say something, they just don't say it out of their butt just to say something. When they bring something, they usually bring it because they know what they're talking about has been revealed to them. Well, they made the statement that Brian Cage signed with AEW, but it was quickly denied. And AEW doesn't go and say yes, nay, no, because they want to keep things under wrap, because they would like things to be a surprise, not to leak out. And they did a good job of not leaking things out. So what Brian Cage has done, then it came out that he had surgery on his arm, that his bicep was torn, and that he came out and had it then. And then he's made some appearances, and he may have wrestled a few indie shows. Hasn't been so much around SoCal, except he was at a show when Revolution was and had a watch in Manteca, California. And I don't think he's the chosen one or the exalted one. I don't think he's a fit, but don't be surprised and very soon that you see Brian Cage in AEW, because I don't think he's going to WWE. I think Brian Cage, it is truth, SoCal Uncensored was not off in left field. Brian Cage will be coming. It's just a matter of when they reveal him, and he'll be another big guy that they bring in. They really are on the lookout for big guys, and they have been bringing big guys. Luke Harper, I think you'll see Luke Harper. Luke, definitely the exalted one. Does that tell me that it's Luke Harper, or that now, AKA now he's Brody Lee, back to his indie name before Luke Harper? It could be. I don't know how I feel about him not being the fit, but could he be? It could be. And it could be the remaining two. It could be Matt Hardy. But anyways, but also looking for a revealing of one Brian Cage soon. Could be down, it still could be a month away. But I think Brian Cage is getting ready, and that Brian Cage will be there. Brian Cage did some showing, had a nice little suit. You know, he's half machine. He's kind of like the X-Men, Wolverine. And he said, "Look at my new suit." He had a picture of it. He had hashtag Brian Cage. And he had AEW Dynamite. Definitely was hashtagged in his tag. The talk has died down, which is perfect. That's what they would want, and that's what he would want. And the talk died down. And then if he's injury, which I have this feeling, I could be dead wrong, but I have this feeling that Brian Cage's injury was probably there, but not as bad as we may have thought because of what it was. Bicep tear. It could be something that's just in that range of the bicep, but maybe wasn't that crucial, or that something that he's out till October or November. I could see him within April, May, maybe even Double or Nothing making his debut. I don't think he doesn't fit the exalted one to me, but he does fit another big guy. Some other news and things is the Revival. Man, the WWE has closed their doors. They no longer have them on TV. They no longer invite them to their pay-per-views. And the mindset was before. If you remember when Dean Ambrose, aka John Moxley, was sitting out, letting his contract end. They were burying him week after week. They ended up burying. Recently, they were burying Matt Hardy week after week. And so what they really found out by burying him, that people are just too smart for that. They realize that they're burying him. You're actually drawing attention to him, and they can ride that wave of attention that you gave him, whether you thought it was negative, but you meant it for bad, WWE, and it came out good for them. And they've kind of realized that. So the word that I'm hearing is they will just keep them off TV. They will not be at Mania, if there is a Mania, and we'll get to that in a second. They will keep them off TV. Why? Well, the reason they would keep them off TV, they realize that you're giving them attention. So if they show up on Turner after their contract release, you actually gave them a wave of energy to ride, like a nice wave at the beach for them surfers. And they can ride that in, and it just bolts up AEW. And that's the last thing that really, with all the stuff that's happened with WWE, is they want a little bit more momentum for AEW, because they're going to be riding out some momentum. I think very soon, when the revealing of some of these guys come in with Brody Lee and AKA Mr. Hardy, who is the exalted one, could be either one of this. Hardy makes more sense, and all those negative thinking, they're buying. No, when you don't, Brody Lee, when you don't promote them right, you don't storybook right, that's your fault. Because these guys have quality, and these guys could help with younger wrestlers. And I'm telling you, Matt Hardy could, with his creative, which runs light years above what the creative they're putting out over there anyways, because they are not letting the wrestlers be creative. They're just, get out of that stuff, man. The reality is it's bad. It's bad. It's crap-a-do at the best. And I'm being nice, because it's worse than that. And so anybody saying that, you just find an excuse because you like what you like, but you're not being real with even yourself, because you're promoting something and saying, oh, they're just signing all these people, they're XW. No, It's one thing that WCW signed people that were too old and over the hill and couldn't keep going with them in a different way. These are guys that were not necessarily Matt Hardy, but Brody Lee is that you undervalued, underused, that still has a bunch of talent and showed you your talent, but you still, because you didn't want to, didn't know how to do. And guess what? Didn't know how to use them, didn't know how to storyline them, because the storylines are horrible. So all that talk is hogwash, man. I hear it all the time. It's just freaking hogwash. Yeah, somebody can take that and manifest that into great storylines and use them to their full potential. Bam! It's in the left field pavilion and the bases are loaded. And you didn't do it, but we did it. And that's just the reality. That is being true. That's just being true to the possible, to the top of the T. True. When you don't promote and you don't. Look, and I'm just going to say this. Look what you're doing with Ricochet. Burying him. Week to week, burying him. Not giving him nothing. He's saying, please send me to NXT because this main roster is the place where you bury the dead. And it ain't new. It's been going on for years. Anybody with any using their CS and just be real and say, hey, man, it is real. Maybe you did love it. Maybe you like it. But don't deceive yourself and make it think and then say, ah, they're bad. No, they use it right. It isn't like taking that. Matt Hardy would be good to use an Exalted One because it would get over the Dark Order, which is a great tag team if you take what they do in the ring. Whether you like the gimmick, which a lot of people didn't, that even are AEW fans, but if you really watch with tag team knowledge and know-how, Grayson and Evil Uno are a good tag team. I've watched them. I said, oh, they're a good tag team. They're experienced too. They're not green like some of the other tag teams are in tag team wrestling. So this is where I'm going to float this boat. Dawson, Wilder, the Revival, that name will change. They've already started going and getting their old name and other names they've added to, even their own personal names have been benched. They're not going to even be buried because they see the barrier and gets them over. So they think to keep them out of sight and out of mind will do the best possible job of not having them have fire to elevate themselves when they leave the company, because they will be AEW bound. And they, you know what? And I appreciate that the fact that they could hold out and said, we want to do what we want to do, and we want to enjoy our passion of what we want to do in the sport, and we want to have some creative control to create our matches, and we want to have the best matches with the best possible, the best people and the best tag teams possible, and that ain't happening here because it's undervalued or not valued, and the scripts and all the things that you do gives us no creative control, and I'm just tired of it, and I don't enjoy it. And for them to say, you can keep adding to the money, but this money does not buy me happiness. That's just, this is people being real. Just on the streets with a capital T truth. This is being real. Come here and be miserable. You give me all the money you want, but then you bury me and you maybe keeping me off TV, and then you make me look stupid with your stupid, idiotic storylines, which we see week after week. It's been going on for years, dudes. Wakey chicken bakies. It has been. And so for them to stand up and say 500,000, no, 700,000, big cojones. That's somebody sticking up for themselves and not giving anything. Well, I'll take it because I've seen somebody else just months ago take the big money and then 6 weeks later asked to be released. And I'm like, you buried yourself, man. If you already knew how it was and the money came to you big and then you stayed, I don't know what to tell you. Did you really expect a change? And then when you didn't get it, then you said, please release me. You buried it. You might as well get the shovel, bury yourself, and just fall in the grave because you did it to yourself. When you had the chance to get Ghost and get out of there, you chose to stay because somebody threw some skrill at you, made your money. But you know that as everything remains, nothing changes. I will be buried. I will have no creative freedom. And that's what's happening. So we got the Revival getting ready to come over. That's some of the big news. Some of the other stuff says those are the things that happen. The big thing is the coronavirus. Already we seen Smackdown on Friday be moved from the place that it was at, being moved to their training center. No fans and doing that. This could go on for more weeks. Them doing this every week. And I was listening to the Wrestling Observer, and I was listening to Brian Alvarez talk this morning, and Dave Meltzer, and they made up a good point talking about both programs that are ran live, that maybe you need to come and do weeks of taping so the wrestlers don't travel as much. You don't have them traveling back and forth every week. And with WWE, you got Monday and you got Friday, and you got a 3-hour show on Monday, which means even for that means taping every week. Is tough when you got 3 hour shows every week. 2 hour shows, it's not. So we already know that they're moved at Friday, Wednesday. AEW will be at Daly's Place, which is owned by the Cons because it's a facility connected to their where the where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. It's actually a concert venue. It's a really nice place. They've had a couple of wrestling events there, and it's a really nice place. They can keep just staying there. That's theirs. They own it. They can stay there. But he made up a good point. Is why don't you do until this is rectified and there's a change? Maybe tape for your weekly show. Do that one night. Do tape 2 to 3 shows. So you're not coming every week until this is rectified, till you can get back live. And that makes a lot of sense. Instead of bringing up everybody to wrestle in front of a no crowd for both shows, maybe bring everybody in, tape for 2 to 3 weeks and 4 weeks if you can. Maybe tape 4 hours, and then that's only 2 weeks. And then maybe with some of the TV shows, show pay-per-view matches. Show archive in WWE. You can definitely go back and archive stuff from years ago. Some great stuff, and then AEW, do some stuff with some of the guys that you have. Some of the pay-per-view matches that were stellar, like one of the best pay-per-view matches we're talking about Revolution was the Omega Page match versus the Young Bucks. Great match. One of the better tag team matches. Even some of the all-time great people have been around a long time says it's some of the best tag team work they've seen in a match all time. So it was given a 6-star by Meltzer. Jim Ross said it was one of the best tag team matches he's seen in his career, and it was a great 32-minute plus match, story told, and even slowed down and had other high spots, but told the story. You can show some of these matches. You can show Jericho winning the title. You can show, you can add some of this stuff for both of them. If you don't know when this is going to go back to completely live every week, you can do this. And what this does is you have some of the stuff you taped along with some of the stuff from the past and the pay-per-views, AEW, and some of their past matches, and maybe even some of the old Dynamite great matches. And the WWE's got a wealth of decades of stuff that they could tell. They could show their greatest matches. Then you don't have the talent having to travel every week until this is rectified and people are okay with going back and doing their traveling and whatever that time period is. And if it goes another 3 or 4 weeks, you bring them for a TV taping and you TV tape again for 3 or 4 weeks at that one time. That's all it is one trip travel, and you do that. So that's all a possibility. It's a good thing brought up by Meltzer, and I'm sure both groups are looking at that. They both have places that they have the center, I guess, where the developmental center for them, and then they could use Daly's Place that they own for AEW. So they both got. And I was even thinking for AEW, if you want to go a little NWA, you're in Jacksonville or you're in Atlanta, and you're WTBS and you're TNT. I'm sure TNT and TBS or whatever, and Turner Home Entertainment, you could use a studio. And if you want to do a little old school, go a studio week. Tape 2 weeks of studio and 2 weeks there. Whatever you do it. I mean, that's opportunities to do until this is rectified, until you can travel and go travel to arena every week. And you can have you can open the doors to the fans, because right now nowhere's going to open the doors to you in the States. So that's kind of what's happening on the download. WrestleMania definitely is the big deal coming up for WWF here, and it's in Tampa, Florida, and Tampa, Florida is giving them till this week. It seems like with every other sport saying, okay, we're off. Baseball, basketball in the middle of their season, or in the 2/3 of their season, after they had a player go down, they cut the season and said it's over. I mean, we're suspending it. Not that it's completely over, but we're suspending it at this point till further notice. Vince is trying to hold on to hope for WrestleMania, and it's just like, I'm not going to go in depth in just this, but man, I heard what Ryback said. I concur. Just holding on, and really what Tampa Bay, I think Tampa Bay's had said, I don't know if it was the Tampa Bay of the Raymond James Stadium or the other state they're in, said that they would, if WWE doesn't rectify this and make a decision by this week, they will, which would mean they would WrestleMania would be suspended, canceled, or maybe they think about doing this just at a later date when they can, and just do it later. Sometimes you have to just refocus and reschedule in what's best for everybody. And I won't get into what I think this all is about, like I have said on the other video, but just the way it is played out. This is kind of what's happening with this. So any more of that, we will see. There's really not sports news going on. Everything's low key. A couple other things to kind of get into is the changes with that. The Ascension have came out and spoke about their time and how they had felt, and they actually, had mentioned they lost their love for wrestling. Connor did, saying that just the experience there, like I was talking about earlier. Too many people are sounding the same thing. There's usually where there's fire, there's definitely where there's smoke, there's a fire. I've known that for a long time. I mean, too many people have said the same exact things. I see it. I even see it for Fam. But he's saying he wasn't happy not doing that. They asked if he would go somewhere else. He would say, right now, I enjoy not having somebody dictate to me all the time, but I will show up somewhere and it will be on TV, whether it's AEW, NWA, I don't know, but maybe the Ascension will show up somewhere, somehow. They didn't really give a definite to whom. They did say they'll be on TV, but they're just taking a little time off to kind of get their ship right and get their mindset right, because it was tough and they have to deal with the mindset and some of the things they went through. And they mentioned it's a good article out there if you want to get it. Anybody who already knows the song and dance, it goes with all the song and dances, everybody that's left there. So not surprising to me. Anyway, so that's kind of what's happening in that. We're waiting on maybe cancellation this week of WrestleMania. Vince doesn't do it. Tampa's going to do it for him. So it'd be heads up just to make the decision. I don't know what he's waiting for, hoping for the Wednesday or Thursday. They'll just say, travel all you want. We can go anywhere we want. I don't know that that's going to happen that soon. So, I mean, I lean towards it's not that Major League Baseball has been suspended till 2 weeks into the season. So we're looking at April 10th at the earliest, somewhere around there. At the earliest, MLB will start. So at the earliest, that's if everything goes good immediately. If it doesn't, then it could be even pushed back another time. It could be MLB may not. I mean, there's stuff happening. Besides that, I mean, I got my tickets. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to Double or Nothing. Am I going to Double or Nothing? Is the question. We will see. I want to, but it could be suspended. We don't know how long this is going to go. So something that's this soon in a deadline, and they're waiting on you, and you're the big kahuna, and you can't make a decision because while every other major sports team, league has made a decision, you can't. Why? I think it's screaming. Watch Ryback, he'll tell you. But anyways, so those are kind of the things we're going. We're kind of waiting for that, but we are getting a live. It looks like we're getting a Raw. We got a SmackDown. We are getting a live Dynamite this week from Daly's Place. There was a Twitter that somebody says, asked Cody, why would you keep storylines knowing there's nobody in the arena together? And Cody said, because people come for these storylines. There may be nobody in the arena that night, but that doesn't matter, because nobody being in the arena, there'll be people watching TV, which they will. And guess what? These shows will have no competition this week because there's no baseball and there's no basketball, no hockey. So they will have no competition athletically or sports-wise. Cody says, no, this is a storyline. This is what you do. This is why you would. I don't see no problem with it. And the guy on Twitter, it was nice. He wasn't just, as we see, a lot of jerkety jerks out there, keyboard warriors hiding. But he said that. My question would be, of course you would keep storylines. And this is kind of goes back to what I've said before. A lot of people have been watching wrestling since 2001, 2, 3, don't have any experience with it before that. Storylines are the foundation of wrestling, are the foundation. If you have no storylines and if you have no foundation, then that's why when I look at the show that I'm talking about, that's why for me, nothing to do with it. It doesn't have storylines. When you're ripping up scripts and you having writers per se tells me the story. By you just saying that you have 40 writers writing it, I'm just like, this is not it. This is not what it's built on. This is not professional wrestling. This has never been the foundation of it. Go back and listen to a video, a video I made back about 8 months ago, and it was called The Foundation, Sports Entertainment or Sports Centric. And I break down how it's always been one way. Somebody else, as we know who that else is, has tried to do it their own way. And now you see the fruit of it. Some people, that's all they know, and they'll just keep watching that, eating that bad fruit to me. But when you start seeing it manifest the way it is, and I'm starting to see this, not just definitely on AEW, but I start watching. I've seen other shows. MLW's good. Storylines are the foundation of it. So why would you, even if you have an empty arena, why would you not have a storyline? Because it's the foundation. You would. That's really what Cody's saying. You would keep the storylines going because you want to keep the storylines pushing. Even if you're not on live TV in the arena, you keep the storylines going because eventually the payoff's coming down the road. The payoff will be double or nothing. The payoff will be every week. I'm sure even if it's an empty arena or there the week after, we got blood and guts. I'm sure we're going to still have blood and guts. I'm sure we will. I don't know where it's going to be, if they're going to keep it there, go into wherever the process is going to be for that next week, but that's what it's going to be. So what we're going to do now, since it's a little early, that was a little bit of my rumors and news, and I have some rants on this one. Usually I don't have rants. It's just all the incredible stuff that's going with it. One last thing before the rumors and rants. On Delete, on Matt, what's it called? Being something to Delete. It's Matt Hardy's show. The Young Bucks super kicked him into the grave. So we'll see if that doesn't feed him coming out of the grave into the new Matt Hardy or the broken Matt Hardy, but he will come out of that as the exalted one. That makes sense. But anyways, so a little bit of coverage since we got on there, got on that. What I'm going to talk about, take a little drink of this Kangen water, westcoastuncensored.com. Hit me up on westcoastuncensored.com. If you got a business, I want to collaborate with you. Get me on your business. I'm going to put you on my, not just on that, my website. Hopefully your business can go national. I don't care if you're on the East Coast, you can get your business and crossover over here in SoCal, the West Coast Uncensored. We're right in LA. We're just right outside LA. I was in East LA yesterday, baby. Looking at Funko Pops. Yeah. Remember, Kangen water. Hit me up for that. Best water in the world. Even in Japan, you know what they do? Japanese doctors actually use this in their hospitals. And you ask me why? Can I share a secret with you? Anybody behind me? Japanese are number one in health. United States is 54. I'm not even knocking on the door. It'd be like me going to the 54th ranked football team in the nation and asking them, what's your secrets? Or would I go over to Nick, or would I rather go over and run over to Nick Saban and get and share time with him and take in all his wisdom of all his national championships and top recruiting classes? What makes sense? Run into the 54th ranked coach in the nation, or run into Nick Saban, who's been for almost a decade number one their program. What makes sense? Like I said, the secret. Japan's number one in health. Nobody around. United States 54. They prescribe this. Don't tell anybody that said you that it's illegal to do it here. I'm just being real with you, but it is a certified medical machine in the place it's number one in the nation. It is not in the place it's 54. Common sense, folks. But let's get to the Revolution Dynamite. That's the end of that commercial. Dynamite from last week started, and it was this is a storyline connected. If the week before Cody was in a run-in, was hit by Ortiz behind the head when the chair went, or Cody ran into to do battle. So he was scheduled to wrestle Ortiz on the next week's Dynamite. That's a storyline. The storyline was Ortiz hit him with a chair. That's a continuous storyline. That's easy. It's foundational. That's what they do, but they'll connect this for months and weeks because some stuff that was way back and why do they do that? And people are the thing is people that have been 2001, 2002 and after, the popcorn, microwave payoffs is not how wrestling's done. It's not. 3 months, That's a short payoff. 6 months, about average. Some is 9 months. Long period. Long-term booking has always been anything less than that. You ain't giving me you're giving me something else, and you're not found it. Bam. What if I told you that? That's just a reality. That is real talk from the real D-boy from West Coast. Uncensored. But anyways, he had a great match with Ortiz. Good match back and forth. Some outside interference, of course, from Santana. Santana and Ortiz. I just love Ortiz too. Ortiz is just. I just love his character. His mindset with that character. Ortiz is just fabulous. The way he brings things and does things, and is just even his facial expressions, and even when he goes into his cat, his claws. But Santana and Ortiz are top-notch tag team. That's why they came here, because they were heavily recruited by other companies, and they made the decision to come to AEW, and it would pay off. They're part of the #1 heel, the Inner Circle, headed by Jericho. And great match, paid off. Outside interference from Santana, even some outside interference from Brandy, hitting Santana, taking off her belt, and whipping Santana. Cody wins the match. Then Santana jumps him. Both teams, the Inner Circle comes in. They're fighting. Some of the elite partners, friends of the elite, Dustin, who's not quite elite, but hangs out with the elite. He's part of the Nightmare family, which is part of the... Cody's part of the elite, but Cody's got his own faction, which is his own family, the Nightmare family. But then he comes in. So after everything's cleared, they look up. They see the Inner Circle comes out. What does the Inner Circle do? And they're in the back. They have Nick Jackson underneath the... what do you call it? The thing you can lift up, the door, and it's on top of Nick Jackson, and Nick Jackson has blood coming out of his mouth, and then the picture, the camera goes and shows him down, and Jericho says, I think he has problems, and it gives you the visual that the Inner Circle had did this. And then so they leave, they come down, help him. Ambulance comes and takes Nick to the hospital. Nick's probably written off the show for a few weeks. I could see Nick not being part of Blood and Guts. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's War Games. But they can't use War Games. No, legally they cannot use War Games. It belongs to the WWE. I don't feel great about that because I know it's a creation from Dusty. But they were the winners of the war and a lot of casualties in a war with WCW, and that's what happens when you win the war. You get things you didn't even have your hand in creating. So I don't mind calling it War Games because I used to watch it back when it was War Games, when it was NWA, because it was actually created before the Turner tape buying. It was actually Jim Crockett Promotions. Love me some War Games. They did it right. It was an NWA thing ever before it was a WCW game. And of course, WWE owns it. They can't call it that, but it will be War Games. They'll call it Blood and Guts. I don't know. They may use the match beyond, because when the match officially doesn't start until everybody's in the ring, and then they say let the match beyond begin. That was the NWA thing. It's not a WWE match. It wasn't created by them. And believe me, Vince may like to rub in his face, but anything he doesn't create, he doesn't like. He showed that over and over, even in the 80s and 90s. Know him well. But anyways, enough of my parading on the negativity. Sometimes just let it go. But anyways, he's taken to the hospital. He's taken in an ambulance, picks up Matt, and he's taken. So that's kind of starts this feuding of this tonight, setting up this is which is coming near is War Games. So the ambulance comes. The next match definitely is Nyla Rose and Priestley in a women's tag team against Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. I love that woman. Definitely, it's okay. The first match was better. This match was better because I do like all the girls in this, and I think, and seeing B back, I think B's just awesome. I know she has a lot of time in Japan. Her and Will Ospreay are in a relationship, a serious relationship. Both wrestle full time in Japan. one for Stardom, one for New Japan, and I know that's kind of where her foundation is, and she's kind of comes here and does dates. But man, I wish she was here much, 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 much more because she's a talented wrestler. She's only 23, 24. I wish she was here a lot more because I think she could add to AEW's women's division so much. She could definitely be the world champion. Great tag team match. I like the young Chris Statlander. She's still very young. Nyla's very good. Nyla is AEW champ. Um, and then Chris Stanton, and then of course Hikaru Shida to me is probably the best woman that's there full time in the company. Chris is very good too, but Chris is still very young. She's only 3 years in the wrestling, so she's still kind of green, but she definitely is talented. And after some drop kicks and some good moves by both of them, it was good. It was a good match. It was decent. It wasn't bad. Nyla Rose and Bea Priestley got the win, but after the win, um, what happened was Bea attacked Nyla, picked up the belt, hoisted it, looked at her, pointed to her, and told and made the hand to the thing like "call me." So expect this to be the storyline beginning, and with what's happening in Japan with Bea, and I don't know, I think it has a lot to do with it because they've canceled New Japan Wrestling. They're canceling a lot of wrestling in the Orient and in Japan. Is they don't have any dates. So B is here, and I believe you'll see B definitely on the next few Dynamites. And I expect B to get a. She even said this on an interview afterwards that she will beat and wrestle the number one contender to get her chance at that championship against Nyla, which tells me she's going to be there a few. She's going to wrestle a few matches. I think she's very good. I think she's very talented. I think she is really really good, and I think she's a total asset and a top notch asset. I wish she was there full time. I know that she's not because of the situation where she's living. She signed a contract to have that flexibility. She's in Japan a lot. She's been there, but there is no wrestling going on in Japan, not even the men. So that's what's really going on with that. There was an interview, of course. They're really pushing Britt Baker as a heel, and Britt Baker has improved her mic skills enormously, playing off Tony Schiavone, and actually her and Tony Schiavone have developed chemistry with this good guy, bad guy thing, and about calling him Mr. Starbucks, always coming to ringside, doing the announcing with JR and Excalibur, and Tony bringing Tony a Starbucks cup with his name on it, and actually with his face on it, and showing that to the crowd. This was an interview, and she was going on about how the women's division, she was the top notch, and that she was, she didn't care about the women in the match. She was putting them down, that she was the measuring stick. She was the first one signed. Out came Big Swole. Big Swole definitely told her that all she did was run her mouth. She did spit water at her. I expect this to lead into something, but it also showed a good sign of a good heel when you're playing your thing. We seen that she ran off away and didn't want no part of Big Swole, being that the heel that is the scared, frightened, manipulative heel. She said, "I don't have nothing to do with you. You don't have nothing to do with my interview." And then she left after she spit on her. So, like, she didn't want nothing to do. A little fear of Big Swole. Expect this storyline. This is when you have to do. This is what they're gonna have to do with the women: is be consistent in your storylines. And put more time into these storylines. And they do have some women that are talented, and they do have a lot of green ones. Big Swole's green, Britt Baker's green. I think that B Priestley's very young, but B Priestley's put her time in England. She put a lot of time in the Orient, and that in wrestling in the Orient is gave her. You could see her experience from wrestling so much in Japan carries over, even though she's only 24. She's a 24 that looks experienced, and in the ring, she's just fabulous. And this is kind of the thing that to me a little bit holds them back, is that the fact that you're looking at definitely some just the inexperience. But you got to keep these storylines going, and this is a good way. You got to keep Britt and Swole working and having them wrestle. So the next match was the Blade and the Butcher against MJF. With MJF in a 6-man with Jungle Express. Very good match. Went back and forth. Both teams getting their high spots in. Of course, we have some storyline with Jungle Boy and MJF going back and forth. And actually even with my main guy, Marco Stunt, and some of the promos cut on these guys by MJF. So this was good. We seen them going back and forth. It was a good match, back and forth with MJF finally, after Jungle Express did have the run and had them reeling, reversing it and able to get Marco Stunt to submit with an arm bar, and an arm bar into a wrist lock, pulling it out of socket, and him submitting because MJF was on the fringe of breaking his arm. So it was good. It was a very, very, very good match. Setting up the feuds. And this is one thing I'm gonna have to give to AEW, is that it's like seasons. We had Revolution, and we built up the Cody to MJF in the championship match, in the tag team match. It was like a reset and reboot, and this is how wrestling used to be. It used to be reset and reboot after a big match or a big pay-per-view or a big payoff. And we'd almost like a new season, you reboot. They did this. This is how wrestling is supposed to be done. Not, oh, we're having another match for the 441st time and we're going to have the same finish. No. And they do it in a way which doesn't let you forget that. I said it in my last video. Let me have a drink real fast. I said it real fast. It was like you had the pot up. You're cooking. You got it up full. You're warming it up, or you've cooked it, or you're warming it up, or you're just cooking. You got it full blast heat, and you turn it all the way down to simmer and warm. That's MJF, simmer and warmer with Cody. They can always turn it up and go back to it. But Cody's kind of going to Lance Archer now. And first, before even Lance Archer, the Elite versus the Inner Circle's heating up for this Blood and Guts War Games. So they're going back to that, but these are kept on heat. You're gonna get Cody and MJF down the road again. It could be Double or Nothing. It could be after Double or Nothing. But it's simmering where it's easy just to put it back on. It's back on. That's where they're heading to. But you got these other things. It's like it's the reboot, and this is the reboot. Was that Pac had his great Iron Man match with Kenny Omega, and now he started a thing with. Best friends and Orange Cassidy, and it was done at Revolution. Actually, their match was a great match. It paid off for both of them. Both of them came out looking good, and even Pac won, but Orange Cassidy looked good. You've seen Orange Cassidy wrestle his first match, but then the Lucha Brothers came and attacked the Best Friends at Revolution, right? So the Triangle wrestled. Joey Janela and Private Party. Good match, both of them getting stuff in. The Triangle with these three stellar athletes, even though Best Friends are tight, and of course Orange Cassidy's over like Sunrise. Good match, the Death Triangle. I was trying to remember. I have D Triangle. It's a Death Triangle. Good match, good high spots, good moves. But then, finally, at the end, they were able to get him in, and were able to put the boots and just really tearing them up and beating them down. Joey Janela and Private Party and Best Friends came out to make the save. So this keeps that feud and that storyline going with Best Friends and them and Joey Janela, especially with Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, along with Death Triangle. This isn't paid off yet. You're going to see a 6-man tag yet to be with these guys. I think there's a tag team match coming this Wednesday. It's one of the things that's been shown. It's been scheduled. The Death Triangle will face the Best Friends. They're not making it a 6-man yet. That will come later. This is how you book wrestling. You don't give everybody everything at once. That's why I keep mentioning people. The popcorn wrestling doesn't work because it doesn't have a payoff. And when it's like I said, when the first season starts in, whether it's late September, October of your favorite show on CBS, NBC, NCIS, whatever it is, you don't see episode 20 2 weeks later. You don't get the series finale. That's how wrestling's not done too. I know you've been getting this half-heartedly for a number of years. But that's not the way it's done. That's why that's cruddy. And don't bring it. Anybody knows, they're just looking and go, oh my God, this stuff is. But anybody knows wrestling for a long period of time. I'm, I just had a birthday. We celebrated. I don't mind telling you how I'm in my late 50s, 58, just turned 58. Can't get past 57, I'm 58. I seen the territory days. I seen booking up to 9 months, 10 months, even a year they used to book. It was building up heat. You had to build up that heat, build up that. And that's definitely what they're doing. They're getting back to that old school booking. Tony Khan's very genius. Now, he didn't live it. He's young. He's in his 30s. But he's an expert because he's a student of wrestling. He knows and remembers stuff that Jim Ross was at. Jim Ross was telling a story that I was at a certain building and this was the main event. And then Tony Khan told me, and I was like, Tony Khan told me I was there, and I had to look it up, and I was there, but I didn't even remember by detail what he did. But he seen it afterwards. I mean, that's what I'm doing, bringing back what it's the foundation is supposed to be founded on. Good long-term booking with storytelling, and the creation is taking that long-term booking with storytelling, because that has to go together with the new school of wrestling, because you got to mix it. The new school's not going away to old heads. Jim Cornette. I do know the Midnight Express and seen them many times, and a great tag team, but we ain't going back completely to that, and you can't. Stubbornness is no growth in it. Growth happens in change. And marry them. You can have the high spots and the quick and the fast move pace, the Lucha Brothers, the Young Bucks in the tag team division, and those great moves that we didn't see long ago. We didn't have this kind of action. But always the foundation was the storytelling. You can turn just one thing, two things can speak a whole volume of a book. And if you marry them, now you have this great old school, new school mixture that you can tell. And then now this becomes a hybrid of both. That's what they're doing. Hear me out. That's what they're doing. With the heads in there and the people in there that are older, with Jericho who knows this, with Dustin Rhodes who knows it, who Cody is his dad's son, even though he's young, his matches are definitely old school storytelling. And then the Young Bucks and King, they're in the new school, high spots, great athletic ability, move after move, pound after pound. But marrying, in that match we seen just recently showed you how you can marry both of them. That's one of the greatest tag team matches I've ever seen, and I've seen some great ones. I've seen the Steiner Brothers. I've seen the Midnight Express. I've seen the Rock and Roll Express. I've seen the Hart Foundation live, not watching tapes. I've seen them live. I've seen them weekly. Come on now. But I'm not old school enough to realize if I was old school like Jim Cornette, I wouldn't watch today because I wouldn't have no interest because all I think is a negative. But I learned that if I was going to, because I left this, and watch my own videos, I won't get into this. This is about the review. Watch my own videos. I left for a long time, but and just came back 3 years ago. But anyways, the Death Triangle, they have a run in with the Best Friends run in with them. Very good, setting up what's going to come, and they have a tag team match this week. Chris Jericho, along with the Spanish God Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, just in this since October, is growing leaps and bounds. You can see it in his growth. You can see it in his growth, being with the veteran and getting to hang and be part of this this group with Hager. You even see Hager's change, but I see Sammy and also see it with the former LAX. But I can even see the change in them. But you can see the growth by light years with Sammy because he's so young and comes from the indies and being on TV. You can see the growth in Sammy, and Jericho always makes him his tag team partner. That's just making Sammy better and better because Sammy is a future of wrestling. He is one of the future AEW stars to carry the torch down the road. Good match, back and forth. Hangman Page is over like the sun on a hot summer day. Hangman Page has got over. What did they do to tweak it? He wasn't over, even though he was just as good as in his moves, just as good in the ring. Great athlete, good combination of strength and a good combination of just the high-tech, high-spot moves. He's got it all. But they had to marry, this is going back that they had to marry a character and a storyline, and his character and storyline and all that together with all his athletic ability. Now he's over as well as anybody almost in the company. He's over as well. He gets the pin. Great match, high spots. The key to this whole thing was the fact that the run-in that came in with the beatdown that the Inner Circle gave and the storytelling that goes with this, setting up war games, but the beatdown that all the elite came in and the Inner Circle got the advantage and were able to beat them down from Cody to Kenny Omega. Remember they earlier in the night that they had took Nick Jackson to the hospital because they beat down Nick Jackson in the very first match, and he had to be taken to the hospital. So that happened. So what ended up happening? You had the beat down of Matt Jackson. You had, and in the meat down of that, you had the beat down of both sides. Finally, the Inner Circle was able to get the advantage. When they got the advantage, what did they do? They ended up getting ready, and they said, you know, we're going to take Hangman Page and throw him off with the power bomb with the LAX, former LAX, and JK. You're going to power bomb like we did last week to Mr. Moxley. Nick Jackson comes out. Excuse me, Matt Jackson comes out, makes the save, super kicks them all, takes them all down, but goes up, keeping the storyline going. After he saves Hangman Page from being tossed, right? He saves Hangman Page. What happens next after the saving of Hangman Page? He goes up to him and gives him a middle finger, likened to what Hangman Page did him last week. Continued storytelling. There's a mixture in this. There's a War Games match coming up where they're going to be tag team partners. Now what's happening is Hangman Page realizes mistakes that Nick Jackson saved him, that he is his brother, that he is the elite, that he misjudged and miscalculated, or is he going to still take the vengeance to get his hands and maybe cause him the match, or maybe cause him for Matt Jackson because he can't stand Matt Jackson, and Matt Jackson's sarcasm because he drinks, and Matt Jackson, he feels is self-righteous, but Matt Jackson did save him when it was all came and said and done. But Matt Jackson's still so angry at him, he flips him off after he saves him, and then as he flips them off and they're kind of looking and having the stare down, Chris Jericho gets up and pops them both with a chair, and the show goes off the air as the beatdown continues, and then the show goes off the air, leading us to the end of Dynamite. Great show, great storytelling. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who the Exalted One is. What's going to happen between Matt Jackson and Hangman Page in this War Game situation? What's going to happen? Are they going to be able to be teammates? Are we going to totally see a collaboration of them coming together, or are we going to see them fall out completely? The thing is, I'm not sure. Will Matt Jackson become the bad guy? Matt Jackson become the bad guy? Hangman Page, I don't know that you would want storylines because he's so over now. What would you do? What would you say? This is storylines and keeping you getting. Guess what you want to see next week because you don't know and you haven't figured it out. And sometimes it's okay to figure it out because it fits. But we don't know. We don't even know who the Exalted One is. It Brody? Is it Matt Hardy? Is Matt Jackson? And really, can Hangman Page really coexist in a War Games, which is death war, blood and guts? Can they really be counted to count on each other in that situation? We don't know. Because that's the storyline telling that we're getting every week. Appreciate it, man. This is D-Boy from West Coast and Central. You guys state, man. I don't know why people are buying up all the toilet paper. I don't know who started that trend, but it's stupid. It just really is. It doesn't make sense to buy up all the toilet paper. And even if you got the virus, it doesn't give you diarrhea. I mean, I don't know. Somebody started that and then people followed. Who knows? But anyways, but be safe. I personally don't live in fear. I don't want to live in fear. I don't think fear mongering is the way to go. But again, enjoy your life. Maybe pretty soon everything come back together. This is West Coast Uncensored. This is D-Boy. You guys have a great day from West Coast Uncensored. Stay safe. Love your family. Visit your family. Enjoy life. D-Boy from West Coast Uncensored. WestCoastUncensored.com. Hit me up. Talk to me. Hit me up on YouTube. West Coast Uncensored. Hit me up on YouTube. Hit me up on my website. If you got a business, you want to collaborate for $10 a month, man, I'll put you on my website and talk about you here, your business on here, do a commercial for you. You guys have a great day from West Coast Uncensored. Bye.